Welcome to Vermonters in Business, where we highlight some of the very best business leaders in our state and the amazing things they're doing in their communities. People of Vermont, welcome to Vermonters in Business, where our mission is to highlight the businesses and business leaders in our state. They're doing amazing work in both their careers and in their communities. We've got an outstanding show today. I am your co-host, Drew Kinney. I am a seventh generation Vermonter, a business leader in the state, and I'm very excited for our show today. But first, please join me in welcoming my co-host, Travis Spencer. He is a local business enthusiast. He is a serial entrepreneur, and of course, around here we know him as a world-class insurance agent. King of the hot take, Travis Spencer. How are we doing today?
Doing great, Drew. Ready for another great day.
All right. What hot takes do you have for us today?
It's funny. Last night I'm thinking we might want to change this to rants because they're not always takes, but it's a rant. I got a rant for you
all
today.
The same, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's about trash, and I always try to make my rant or my take go along with the guests that we have in their business, but. It boggles my mind every day driving down the road. Every gas station has a trash can.
Yep.
Usually 4.
Yeah.
But yet people still throw trash all over the place. Yeah. If you have a car that needs to stop at a gas station, just wait till you get to the gas station and use that. Don't throw it out the window. It's real easy clean up here.
It does seem easy.
Right. I don't get it. So littering to me is, I just don't understand. There's plenty of places you can get rid of your trash that you're going to stop. So,
all right. Well,
stop throwing it out the window, people.
That's what's grinding Travis's gears today.
That's
right. All right. So for our show today, we are excited because we have a guest with a very established business in the area. Yep. They have been around since 1985, providing cleaning services for businesses across the state and into some New Hampshire. And then on top of that, they're at north of 200 people now.
Yeah.
That's truly impressive.
Yeah.
Please join me in welcoming Mandy from JaniTech. Mandy, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, Mandy, give us a quick little rundown of when you joined JaniTech and how long have you kind of been in the business and doing everything?
So I've been with JaniTech. December will be 8 years.
8 years, nice.
It's flown by, that's for sure. I started out as a temp. I was former massage therapist, wrist injury, sort of fell into this, and I've got some people skills. And,
very cool.
Don saw that and said, hey, I think you should be our recruiter. So that's kind of where I started. It was not something I expected.
Do you still do the recruiting side?
I do some of it. I'm known as Mandy from JaniTech in the refugee community, and so they have my phone number, and
that's awesome.
Definitely.
I do a lot of the recruiting for here, and it's not easy. It's not an easy task. Yeah,
it is not, especially in the state of Vermont.
Yeah, you just got to keep working through it, and eventually you find the right people, and it works out. But
exactly.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine having doing it for 200. We're at like 20, so it's like very small.
Yes, and when you're doing it for the entire state, a little bit of New York, a little bit of New Hampshire, you have to just be on the phone all the time.
All right.
So,
All right, Mandy. So we start every guest on the show by jumping into something we call the Vermonter hot seat. Are you ready to take on the hot seat?
Yes, I'm ready. They didn't prepare me for this.
Pancakes or waffles? What are you having with your Vermont maple syrup?
Oh, pancakes for sure.
All right.
Without a question.
Making another run.
I like that.
It's good. Mm-hmm. And a perfect day for you, is it a winter day at the mountain or a summer day at the lake?
That's a tough one. I don't want to go to the mountain. I want to cross-country ski.
Okay. I like it. Mm-hmm. That's cool. We've had the Catamount Trail Association guy, and they are big cross-country skiers.
Yes. For sure.
So, that's not probably the first time we've heard that answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is your birthday dinner. You can go to any restaurant in the state. Where are you headed?
Oh, boy. That is very tough. I think Hen of the Wood.
Hen of the Wood,
yeah.
That's a popular one.
It's
a good spot.
Yep. They are consistent, right? And they're good.
Have you been to the new spot in Waterbury or just to the Burlington?
Just to the Burlington one,
Okay, yeah, they relocated, and this is kind of our industry. But the first day they opened at their new location, they had a water pipe burst in one of the rooms and shut them down for a couple of months.
That's miserable.
Yeah, crazy. But I know somebody who went like that first day, and so they got in without it like being any damage or anything, and out, and so it was really kind of funny.
Nice.
Those poor guys. But they're off and running. I don't think they've had any hiccup. All right, so last question on the Vermonter hot seat. It's a hot summer day. What is your creamy order?
Not really much of an ice cream person.
Okay.
I know, hit me, because I'm one of those. But if I have to, it would be a vanilla chocolate twist.
Okay, a classic.
Classic.
A classic.
Can't go wrong with the classics.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is the hot seat. I think you tackled it just fine.
All right. You're right. Hard-hitting questions.
Yeah,
I
very
like
hard.
that.
We'll get you loosened up for the hard hitting.
Yeah. So from here, I'll have Travis jump in, and we'll talk a little bit about JaniTech and everything
Sure.
you guys got going on.
Yeah, we just always like to start with, tell us who JaniTech is, what you do.
So JaniTech is a commercial cleaning company based in Colchester, we're locally owned. We've been around, I think Don and Steve have owned it for approximately 20 years.
Wow.
You said 1985.
Yeah.
It was Vermont Janitorial Services
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
So they purchased the business, changed the name, and went to green cleaning.
Okay.
And that's been our standard.
Yeah.
Now, we did it before it was trendy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the last 20
So what
years.
makes the green? What's it green?
Trying to use sustainable products,
Yeah.
definitely, talking about trash, right? We're always trying to be on the forefront of composting, recycling,
Yep. Very cool.
and even trash removal, that sort of thing. So, and definitely all of our
that's
all
awesome.
of our products that we use just to clean, even windows, glass.
Yeah, that's what I was curious. If you had a tendency to lean towards different products. Than
Absolutely,
other ones.
yeah. I always tell
Yeah.
people when I'm, going into an interview, like they're like, we're not using Windex on the glass,
Right,
and we're not using. Regular toilet bowl cleaner.
Right.
It's citric acid.
Okay.
Those sorts of things. Not that they're not corrosive,
Right.
but that they're more sustainable.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
for sure. And for people who have maybe scent sensitivities too, they're a lot better
Yeah.
and easier to use that way.
And what type of clients do you service?
Oh gosh, anything from the small little law office to large college campuses and everything in between. Lots of different Vermont businesses. You can name one and we probably service it.
Yep.
Everything. Burlington Airport is one of our largest.
Yes.
For sure.
And I remember the growth story is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I worked for JaniTech
Yes,
back in the day.
exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when the first office was over by the airport.
Yep.
In that small little
Yep.
area, and now over in Colchester in the bigger space. Can you just tell us some of that backstory, how that's all happened, and your experience with it?
Sure. So, before me, obviously, they had 8 employees.
Yep.
That's where they started. Very
Yeah.
small. And it's really a testament to kind of Don and Steve and their, Alex was one of the first people to come in the industry. And they just kept saying, okay, we're going to go out there and meet people and put our money where our mouth is and prove, that we can do it. And so it just sort of built over time. And word of mouth is still in our business. That's how it goes.
Yep.
Certainly, those references mean the world to us. And we're always trying to partner with the businesses that we're servicing. So we're not just going in and in the dark of night and cleaning anymore.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
COVID, things have really changed. In that we are more partners with the customers that we service. So they're seeing the cleaners maybe in the afternoon, and they can say hi, how's it going? They can do the HR trash can that normally would be locked up,
Right.
and then they're doing their sort of loud work, which I consider mopping and vacuuming after everyone has left the office for the day. So it's nice to not have the ghost anymore.
Yeah.
And really, since COVID, we've really grown immensely that way. And I think the appreciation for the cleaners has really changed since then as
Yeah, I was
well.
going to ask, how have you seen that relationship sort of change?
Basically, that's what it was, because
Yeah.
during COVID, it was sort of this, like, everybody was holding their breath, right? Like,
Right.
what's happening, who's closing, who's staying open, and then anyone that was staying open, it was like, oh, we need to, like, double down, right?
Right,
Because
right,
we didn't
right.
know what to expect and
Right.
how to deal with this virus. And so we definitely had to insert a lot more day cleaning. And it was a safety thing, for
Yeah.
sure. And then it was a comfort, right?
Yeah.
People were in their offices seeing the cleaner going, oh, they're doing the light switches, they're
Right,
doing the
right,
handles, they're doing the
Right.
the faucets and
Yeah.
the fixtures in the bathroom a lot more often. And so then they started to build relationships with people and their cleaners. And so it just changed, which has been a really nice thing to see, the appreciation for
Right.
commercial cleaners.
And probably a benefit for the cleaners too. It's nice to
Absolutely.
have
Absolutely.
something during your day to interact with.
Yes,
and,
exactly. Some people still like to just come in and do their job and
Yeah.
not see anyone.
Sure.
And to each his own, right?
Yep.
But it has been a nice relationship building where people are seeing each other and just appreciating, what they're doing. And it's a lot more personal that way.
Right.
Before it was just sort of they were on their own and
Right.
just didn't see the cleaning being done.
So post-COVID,
Yeah.
have you seen a shift in your clientele in regards to, more people working remotely, So has there been a cutback in certain areas, but maybe an increase in others? Like, what have you seen from your clients and their needs changing?
You know, most places, even if people are working remotely, and so there's still this kind of strange place now where everyone's sort of saying, okay, let's come back to the office at least a couple days a week, myself included.
Yeah.
Of course, being a recruiter, I sort of have to be in the office, right, to interview people. But, you know, industry-wide, it's difficult to say because really we're still in the building, whether there's 2 people in there or 500. We're still doing the same amount of cleaning.
Right.
Just there might be a little less offices, but we're still doing common areas. So haven't seen a whole large shift that way. But we are seeing more people coming back to the office depending on the size of the building. There's a couple of large buildings we do in the Montpelier area that they are encouraging their workforce to come back to the office. Yeah.
Got it. Now, are you seeing, you guys accommodate pretty much all types of businesses and all cleaning needs, so you do the one-off maybe once a week or every day? I mean, what type of services do you offer?
All of the above,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, we do some that are bi-weekly,
Yep.
not our favorite per
Right.
se, just
Right.
because they're a little bit more challenging to staff, first of all.
Yep.
And then, you know, the business is just, it's a little more inconsistent, you know. But then, you know, we do those 5 days a week. We have some that are 7 days a week. And then it just depends on the customer. Some people want central trash pickup. So then we're only doing that twice a week versus desk side trash. You know, we're doing that every single day because, of course, the trash cans are smaller.
Right.
So it just depends on the business, how much money they have to spend. And that's really what it's coming down to. We've noticed that shift. Inflation,
Yep.
you know, everybody's tightening down their budgets across the board. And so we're trying to be flexible and meet businesses where they are, come to the table with other options, you know, maybe more cost-effective
Right.
options for them. So, you know, it really depends.
So as you grow, are you able to become more selective then with those clients and say, well, maybe this isn't the type of client we want because it's too small and it's a one-off, you know, every other week or whatever. So as you're growing, have you had that luxury, if you will?
We certainly have, you know, and yes, we have. Certainly, we try not to just cut and run.
Right.
We're not interested in doing that. But we may, if someone comes to us and says, hey, I'm just looking for a quote, we're looking to do maybe carpets, you know, quarterly, that might be something we do as tag work is what we call it in the industry, and that would be okay. But, you know, coming in and maybe just doing your office once every 2 weeks, we might think about talking to other tenants in the building, make it worth our while a little bit more. But yeah, we have been able to be selective that way. And, you know, the larger we get, the bigger accounts we can take on as well, which, you know, we have to be careful about that because you don't want to just take on massive accounts because then if you lose a massive account, look at your bottom line, right? So we try to balance that out with some smaller accounts that, you know, have a good margin and then we just try to balance.
Well, it's interesting because I think in any business you kind of have a target market idea of
absolutely.
you know what's going to work really well for you. You know what's in the JaniTech wheelhouse,
right.
You know, for what you can service and provide. And you know, I could certainly see an example where if you're bi-weekly, you know, and it's hard to staff, or you know, you've got more mess to clean up, whatever the case might be. You know, it's not necessarily your chance to shine. So that's where and I think it's important that you dial it and you know. Focus on you know who can you provide the best service to. We have to do the same thing in the insurance world. There's some businesses we're just not tailored to be able to work with. So it's awesome that you can kind of dial it in. You don't just have to jump on every account you possibly can.
Exactly. Location matters too, you know.
Right.
Certainly. We service the entire state of Vermont, but, you know, we had a little bank in the city it's not a city, the town of Barton. Don't blink because you just drove through it. They have a subway and one gas station. But, you know, finding someone to take on that one little bank was very difficult. Spent a lot of money just trying to advertise up there. I don't have a lot of connections. I'm not up in Barton very often, you know, and it was 7.5 hours a week, which is pretty small considering, and most people want 20 plus hours a week. So that was challenging. So, you know, those kinds of things matter. As, you know, it might be a portfolio of banks that we take on. We have to take that into consideration. How hard is that one bank going to be to staff, or, you know, some other big ones in the downtown area? I find right now, downtown Burlington is a little challenging for us. Not everyone wants to go downtown in the evening time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it really just depends right now.
Well, you kind of hit on my next question was
Okay.
going to be, with your growth that's going on, what are some of the challenges you're seeing? I mean, from staffing to whatever it might be, what are your biggest challenges?
I think staffing is the
Yeah.
biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Right now, we're seeing a little bit of an influx of applications, which is fantastic for us. And it's about the right time of year now that we're going into colleges coming back.
Sure.
We do always see a flip kind of in the late December, right after Christmas. Everyone's like, oh no, January 1st, I've got to get a job.
Yeah.
And then sort of that August time, late July, early August time frame, I see a little bit of a bump, which gives us a little bit of breathing room. You know, my support staff out in the field, those guys are busting their behinds out there, and we like to give them some breathing room, give them some vacation time,
Yeah.
because of course it's a service business. So
Right.
if we are not able to staff a building, we have to service it.
Yeah.
And so my field support, those guys out there are like the bread and butter. We can't run without them. I can't say that enough.
Right.
And they're
so is
like
the
my
influx,
unicorns.
is it like from college kids that want to work evening hours, or is it people that decided they don't want to go back to college and they're
It's not so much college kids. We do
Yeah.
find that, early once schools are back in session, I'll get
Yeah.
a few, referrals
Right.
that way. But it's mostly just people, I think they took the summer off
Sure,
or something,
sure. Right,
and
sure.
or just backed off, and all of a sudden they're like, "Ooh, I've got to buy school supplies for my kids," or
Yeah, I suppose too, it could be childcare, right?
Oh,
you
that
could-
too,
You know,
exactly.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
school's back, so their
It
kids are
does.
back in school, so
yeah,
that makes
and
sense. Yeah.
second jobs. I've been finding that
Yeah.
we're pretty successful when someone has a full-time job and just needs a little extra.
Right. Yep.
Working 15 hours a week, early evening, and we're pretty flexible as far as our shifts are concerned. Most of our businesses that we service can be done between the hours of, let's say, 5 p.m. and 5 a.m., right?
Yep. Right.
So if you have kids, you can probably figure out a time to get in there and service a building for a couple hours a night.
Exactly.
And so you can even stay home and have dinner with your kids
Yep.
if you want. Put them to bed, that
Yep.
sort of thing. So,
There you
that I find is what's happening
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
that the people
Cool.
that want the second jobs. But yeah, staffing, going back to your original question, I think staffing is our number one problem.
Yeah.
And Vermont right now we're at 2.1% unemployment rate, which is better than it has been. It was at 1.6,
Yep.
holding
Right.
steady for quite a while. And you really had to dig
Right.
to
Yeah.
find anybody that wanted to work
Yep.
any amount of hours. But that's probably our biggest
biggest challenge.
challenge. Yeah, and I think secondary would be the working with our customers, current customers, and tailoring budgets. And
Yeah.
really trying to make it work for both of us.
Right.
We've been seeing that sort of dial change a little bit there.
And you mentioned inflation. How has inflation impacted, your supplies and
yeah.
the stuff you're using in-house?
I'm not even sure what the percentage is, but it's definitely, everything's gone up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you see that just in a grocery budget,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So across the board, everything has gone up, and including gas. So some of our more remote locations, we're running vans out there. We've got a guy down in Rutland. He's going from Bennington all the way up to like Virgins, Middlebury area, and so that's a wide territory to be driving on a daily basis, just wear and tear on the vans.
Yeah.
So some of those more remote areas, we notice that difference. Cost of tires, right?
Right.
All
Yeah.
these things, everything. The cost of business has
Yeah.
gone up.
Yep.
Even wages. I
Yes,
mean, we,
right.
we saw that skyrocket. We couldn't believe it, the difference around COVID. It was.
So that helps with, you were talking before, the dialogue now with the customer more
Yeah.
post-COVID. Obviously, these inflationary conversations are a two-way street. So
Absolutely.
you're having those conversations
Yes.
more
Right.
and having to
Yeah,
explain.
we like to say that we are partners with our customers. It is not just we are saying this is what business costs for us to do it.
Yep.
They can come back and say, okay, well, how can we tweak this a little bit to make it fit our budget a little bit better? And we're going to them and saying, okay, look, we've got a fantastic cleaner. We think they would fit great in your building. They're going to cost you a little bit more.
Right.
And whether we, transfer that cost or not, but sometimes, it's at a point where we have to have the discussion about it.
Right.
And so that's why these partnerships between businesses really matter. And talking about flexibility, right? It used to be obviously 5 p.m. and after. People are coming
Right.
in, or their business closes at 8, right? I can think of a grocery store that we service. It's after 8:30.
Yep.
That's a hard one to staff because
Right.
most people don't want to be coming to work at 8:30 at night.
Exactly.
So we talk about, okay, can we switch a few of the services that were done at night to maybe a daytime? And
Yeah.
they said, yeah, let's see, let's try it. Let's
Yep.
see if we can make it work. And so having those partnerships with our customers is really helpful across the board, not only for staffing, but just in general.
Yeah, because it doesn't
It's a
seem
communication.
abnormal to have someone cleaning during the day in a retail setting, or
Right, exactly.
I don't think customers would be like, "What's going on?" It's something common.
Certainly, you're not running a big floor scrubber in the middle of the day, but you can be doing restrooms.
Right.
There's a second floor. There's some offices up there, that sort of thing. So there's definitely some flexibility. So post COVID has really benefited everybody, I think.
And in regards to competition, we see a low barrier of entry for people who want to start a business is residential cleaner. We see a lot of people who call them like, "Oh, I'm starting a residential cleaning business." In the commercial side, though, it's a little more difficult. But have you seen more businesses trying to do what you're doing, or have you seen any change in the competition landscape?
Good question. I think we've seen a few more, and they used to be what we call mom and pop, right? Because we're obviously upwards of 200 people now. And so we're seeing some of them trying to come in and maybe do a city, a few town hall, police department, rec department, those sorts of buildings, and really lowballing. And not understanding the cost of business. And then all of a sudden, 2-3 months later, we're getting the phone call, hey, can you guys come back to us? And sometimes that's just the nature of it, right? Again, budgets. So sometimes state and cities have to just take the lowest offer and see if it works. But it's just not possible. We are seeing, and because we build these relationships with our customers, we're having conversations. Hey, so-and-so stopped by today and, said we could do business $16,000 less than you guys. And I know for a fact, the business owner is saying, I know for a fact they can't service us. So they'll nickel and dime us to get us back to a closer number to where you are. I'm not interested. So it's nice to have those, the relationship, right? It always matters. The relationship always matters.
Exactly.
And having that ability to just communicate about things. We've definitely seen some more companies, local companies especially, sort of trying to rise to the ranks. And, we're good if they take off some of the smaller accounts, right? And happy to refer people. We've got some really friendly relationships where, I may have an applicant that just doesn't fit with what they're looking for. I don't have any positions for them. I refer them to a couple of other cleaning companies, and they do the same. So we have some nice, friendly relationships that way.
That helps.
We're not, we are in direct competition, but at the same time, we sort of know each other's strengths as well. And so that works out for us.
That's key for a successful business is to know your strengths.
Yes, exactly. And your weaknesses, right? Even more so. For sure.
So we talked about the prior growth to today. What's your crystal ball vision for JaniTech, like 5 years from now? Is it going to continue to grow?
Yeah, I'm going to say big, right? Let's go New England.
But is that the plan? Is the internal plan we want to continue on this path, or is there a plateau point where you think we're happy here? What do you think the vision is?
Good question. I do feel like at some point we'll get to maybe a place where we'll say, okay, I think this is good. I mean, we like the hometown Vermont roots. But there's some possibility of some bigger growth out there, right? Like we do some a series of banks here in Vermont that are in the New England area. And so we're looking at maybe those are an opportunity for us to step out into other states. Like I said, we do a little bit of New Hampshire, we do a little bit of New York, but they're like a drop in the hat, that sort of thing. And so I think that's a real opportunity for us. Again, we have to make sure that we can staff it, we can manage it, and logistically, how does that work for us? So, it definitely takes some planning and some future ideas, but let's go big, right? I mean, I think the New England area isn't out of the question. In 5 years, maybe that's a little quick probably, but maybe taking over a little bit more of New Hampshire to see.
But continued growth is.
I think continued growth is definitely on our horizon for sure.
Nice. Did you have anything?
So you talked a little bit about how your recruiting role, and I have a hot seat question for you, recruiter to recruiter. Okay. What's your favorite recruiting question right now when you get in an interview?
Boy, I haven't interviewed anyone that speaks English as a first language in a few weeks. So I have to just sort of fly by the seat of my pants
take what you can get. That's challenging.
Oh no, I need a job. I know you need a job. What was your job before that? Where did you work prior? But my favorite question, boy, that's a tough one for me because it really depends on the person.
All right, and you take it for the flow. That's kind of how I go too. So that's all right.
I mean, it is. It's all about the personality. I like the people that are super quiet.
Yeah.
That I'm obviously a big talker. I can
Sure.
talk. I can talk anyone, but I like to sort of bring out the best in people and make them feel confident and comfortable. But the people that are always talking kind of large, and then I say, well, let's
Right.
talk about maybe the nitty gritty.
Right.
But
No, that's cool. It's always, always looking for tips.
yeah, right.
That's a selfish question.
I do like to ask the questions like that are sort of critical thinking, right? And maybe what would you do if the alarm's going off and the police are about to come? Right. That's very specific to my industry.
Yeah.
But it happens often.
Yeah, sure, I can see that. Yeah.
We just had all the banks that we service change their alarm code,
Yeah.
right? So if
Punch in the wrong
someone
code or something.
forgets, that
Right.
we just changed and that happens.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Do you run? No. Please stand there.
If you say
Have
run,
your
then-
JaniTech shirt on.
Yeah,
Like, be
yeah,
prepared.
yeah. It's gonna be okay.
They'll call the bank manager. Yes, they service it. No big deal. But those sorts of things, and also like how do you take feedback?
Right.
And how do you want your manager maybe to give you feedback?
Yeah.
Do you like it in person? Do you like it by phone? Do you like it by text?
Right.
That communication style matters too.
Yeah.
And I find that I can sort of pigeonhole like where would you fit
Right.
in a position.
It's because it's interesting because in our world, we can get very into the nitty gritty of the insurance stuff,
Sure.
right? And that might not be the right fit or personality for who we want on the team. So I try to spend a lot of my time talking to them and learning about who they are and how to interact with them, like you said, how they take feedback, and worry less about the insurance side because I know we can teach that. We've proven track record for that. But making sure we've got our kind of person that's coming in is a critical piece. So
one of the things I've learned after all these years of interviewing is sometimes there is like when you take a pause, you ask a question, don't fill the space all the time because I can fill any space, right? I don't want to stop talking. I'll just keep going, as you can see. My point. But if I ask a question and just wait, right? It's okay for them to have to stop, think, because it does give you an idea of like how quickly can they think of something, and really is that my point? Not necessarily, but how composed can they stay in that moment? And then if they say I don't have an answer, okay, fine, that's an acceptable answer in my mind, right? Because that means okay, you're going to stop and think and just say I don't know right now.
Right, we don't have to solve it all right now.
Exactly, and so when someone always has an answer, that makes me take pause there because I'm like, ooh, I don't always want you to have an answer, right? You don't have to know it all, and I want you to ask questions and be able to learn and are you trainable, right? Some of those things, like to me,
that's the biggest thing. Are you trainable?
Are you trainable, right? Can you hear me? Can you listen? Can you take feedback? And just because it was done this way for so long doesn't mean that's always the right way. Are you able to be flexible and change? Because some people are not, right?
No.
So
Nice.
Cool.
All those things.
Anything we missed? Anything else you want to share with us about JaniTech?
No, I mean, if you're looking for a job, call me up.
Yeah.
Mandy from JaniTech, right? We're hiring everything from, frontline cleaners. You want 10 hours a week, you want 5 hours a week. We've got that. But we're also looking for managers and upper management. So anything in between.
All through the state.
All through the state, absolutely.
Yeah. Mandy, how can people find you guys?
Website, certainly. I mean, janitechservices.com. Call me directly, 802-922-0411. That's Mandy's cell phone. Sometimes that's just the way to get the conversation started. I mean, certainly if, applications online, people think they do them and then they just disappear into cyberspace.
Right.
So you can call me. Email, you can email a resume to me. There's all sorts of ways. I will take you any way you can walk in their office, That's
cool.
for sure. There's no barrier to employment here. Really.
Love it. Yeah.
Really.
Well, this has been fun. I guess. Do you have anything else, Travis?
No, that's it.
All right. Well,
let's get cleaning.
Yeah, Mandy, thank you for joining us as we close every show. If you guys know anybody out there that is doing outstanding work in their careers or in their communities and you want to see them on the show, please send them our way. We'd love to talk with them. Thank you.